A gentleman in Romaic ruminations should always be suitably attired.
Only the ones who are learned.
Well, that means we've got to all wear T-shirts. Oh, fake laughter ensues.
Do you want me to add that in?
I thought you already added it in. I know what you do. You're sly. You take the off-the-cuff remarks and you include them in the program, and then everyone sees the behind-the-scenes and believes that they are behind the scenes.
I think that's probably for the far most.
They didn't realise that the behind-the-scenes is me weeding your garden. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, mes enfants.
How have you been, Dean?
I've been well.
It's been a while.
But before we get there, I have a problem with the name of the show.
Another problem.
Romaic ruminations for me is passé. How many times can you ruminate before you digest? We are not cows, mes enfants, and as we know, the bovine of the species do contribute to greenhouse gases, which create the climate crisis, which is causing mega upheaval throughout the world. So, Hellenic hallucinations. Why? Because we are all delusional. There is a big difference between who we think we are and who we actually are.
As Greeks or as human beings, or
you can take it existentially any way you want. So I'm thinking Hellenic hallucinations.
Hellenic
we are here, but our minds we are somewhere completely
probably
different.
The best idea we've had so far.
I think so. I see what you're doing with your finger there. And if that's the attitude you're going to take to my considered efforts to boost the tone of this program, we might as well all go home.
Boost the tone, or just
boost the tone,
or just lower the expectations.
Is that a snide remark against my height or lack thereof?
Oh, yeah. Turn it like that.
I think I will.
Neen, it's been pretty eventful.
What has?
Well, world events.
World events.
Has been pretty eventful.
Yeah.
In the last couple of months.
That's a quotable quote.
Isn't it? There are a number of things that I was thinking we should discuss in today's episode, but I think that most... the one that actually hit me the most was the assassination of Charlie Kirk in the United States.
Yeah.
Now I think as of taping this episode, we might have hit 4 weeks since the assassination.
I don't know. I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was
no idea who he
was assassinated.
Yeah.
And it's created a bit of stir, hasn't it?
It certainly has, even all the way here in Australia.
Yeah. I know that many Greeks feel very strongly about the issue. So
for and against, right? We've seen the posts online.
For assassination.
Well, for and against Charlie Kirk. As to who he was as a...
Divisive figures will do that for you, won't they?
They would.
That's why they create division, because they're divisive.
You considered him divisive?
Yeah. You either love him or hate him.
True.
It's kind of like Venizelos or Gough Whitlam.
Mm-hmm.
No, for some people, Gough Whitlam, Prime Minister of Australia, could do no wrong. For others, no. So divisive figures are people who divide us, into camps. And he was one of them.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know what to make of him. As I said, I didn't know who he was. I think that when you get to a stage where people are assassinated because of their views, that is a failure of democracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
you're not wrong there.
I feel that that's the trajectory that all Western countries are going down. A lack of ability to discuss, to share views. First it's your turn, then it's my turn. It's the English system, my turn to bat, your turn to bowl.
Yeah.
And we take turns and we listen, and we don't have to agree. I mean, I never agree with you, you never agree with me, and here we are on the show. We have not resorted to assassinations.
Not yet.
Not yet. I think it's a tragedy that a person gets killed for his views. Make what you will of his views.
Correct.
You don't have to agree. You may think he's controversial. You may think that he makes absolute sense. You don't have to kill the bloke.
Yeah.
And that goes across the board. And obviously people say, well, look, why are we making such a big deal about Charlie Kirk being killed? So many other people get killed around the world and no one bats an eyelid, and that is true. But the fact of the matter is that the guy was in the public eye, at least in America, and therefore it makes impact. And if you are in the public eye, it doesn't matter what your views are, something happens to you, it has impact. But you had an interesting take on how that affects our Greek perspective, which I found very, very fascinating. If I may say, perspicacious, new word, mes enfants. I looked it up in the thesaurus the other day, and I was amazed, astounded, confabulated.
The reason why it occurred to me was I was just analysing what was happening in the United States after Charlie's assassination, and the question that I basically had is, how will that change the political discourse of the nation, and more so, will that change the fabric of the United States? Would it change in any shape or form? 1%, 5%, 10% would become more conservative now. Would there be an antithesis to this this surge of conservatism if it was to eventuate? And what would that look like? And as I was thinking about that, I thought about the number of different assassinations that have occurred Greek leaders or Greek figures over the past 2,000 to 3,000 years, and how that may have changed the course of history with ancient Greece, modern Greece. And I thought that would make for an interesting topic of conversation for this episode. And just to go look at some of the assassinations that have occurred to Greek figures and how that's changed the course of Greek history.
Okay.
So
great idea.
So in your opinion,
and
we don't have to start chronologically. I'm not looking at
chronologically is better because that way you remember. So in my mind palace, such that is.
Your
in my mind
palace is all chronological.
In my mind, paranga, because in there's a paranga like Grigoris paranga. Everything happens chronologically for a reason. But what you did just now is really interesting because the way I thought about this topic was modern Greek history.
Modern Greek history.
But of course, there have been ancient assassinations which have taken place, which have also created quite a stir in ancient Greek times, which means we can pad out the program.
Well, mate, for the full
cover
hour.
our poor level of preparedness. This is great. You can drop
reveal
off
all
now,
our
guys.
secrets, Dean.
So, fantastic.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Political assassinations in Greece and how they've changed the course of Greek history.
Yes.
Number one, Philip of Macedon.
True. Yes.
Philip Filipovsky of Macedon was a great Slavic leader whose son Titovsky took over half of the known world, as we know. But Philip of Macedon, Philip II, who basically was one of those people who decided we want to dominate all of the Greek city-states and then went off and conquered most of Greece.
Yes.
And the parts that he didn't conquer, he subdued through diplomacy or through marriage, like Epirus. Epirus was never conquered by Macedonia. It was an allied state. And Philip married Olympias, who was the princess of the Molossians, mother of Alexander the Great, who was also a great Scopian king. And he, you know what language he spoke? This is a new one, Macedonian Kini, or as they say, koine in the language of the north. Koine means horse in all the Slavic languages. So Macedonian horse, Macedonian language, because it sounds like,
You're really taking a few jabs here, aren't you?
That's what they say. And they say, the reason why modern Greeks don't understand the old language is because that's not actually Greek. It's some other language. And I think we all know what we feel about that. But going back to more serious issues, Philip was assassinated.
Yes.
Having conquered most of Greece, because that is what he did, he was assassinated at a party or at a wedding, and his son, Alexander, took over.
Yeah.
And the question is, as you so rightly pose, did that change the outcome of history? And my argument would be probably. I don't think Philip would have taken it upon himself to invade the East.
He never. He had some animosity towards the Persians, no doubt, like every Greek basically did.
Well, no, they didn't. The Spartans loved the Persians.
They actually worked with them quite often, didn't
so
they?
this is what happens, and this is why I say Hellenic hallucinations is an apt name for the show. Because there's a big difference dichotomy between who we say we are, who we think we are, and who we actually are.
Yeah.
These Spartans are fighting for the liberty of Greece, but then are not above going to the Persians and having them be the umpires in their disputes with Athens.
True.
And Persia did that. They played sides. They would fund one side, they would fund the other side to keep on fighting.
Yeah.
And funding the Peloponnesian War and all the other wars that followed. So, yes, you have the Spartans sending embassies to the great king of Persia, the Shahan Shah, asking him to mediate in disputes with the other Greek states. So, yes, there's a love-hate relationship with Persia. It's kind of the same thing that the Greek captains did in the revolution when they were fighting each other.
Right.
Sometimes they would make temporary alliances with the Turks in order to kill each other. Just like in the Greek Civil War, the various resistance groups would make temporary alliances with the Germans in order to go and kill each other.
Really?
This is how we roll, mes enfants. Now, going back to Philip and Alexander.
Right.
Yep. Persia would have been a security risk for Macedon because on the other side of Macedon, on the other side of the water, is Persian-controlled territory.
Correct.
and it is ever encroaching, and they know from their history that that's what the Persians do. They encroach. We don't like encroachment. So there would have been that issue. But would Philip have gone all the way to India? Would he have decided to form colonies in the east? I don't think so.
Yeah.
My analysis of the way that Philip operated was he may have raided, he may have looted and pillaged and taken the wealth back, which actually caused an economic collapse because inflation skyrocketed with all that Persian gold. That's another story. We can talk about it later. I don't think so. And yes, the whole history of the world would have changed. Counterfactual. How? First of all, the Greek language probably wouldn't have spread throughout the Middle East. It would not have been the lingua franca for hundreds of years, which means the Bible would probably have not have been preached in Greek. We would have had a different type of religion. We wouldn't have had that attempt by the early theologians to synthesize the story of Jesus with Greek philosophy. Would Byzantium have existed? I don't know. All these questions. Would there have been that creation of large kingly states centered around kings in the Hellenistic world? Yes, fighting each other. Or would we have remained as city-states, never to be organized?
Yeah.
All of these are questions. So yes, that is an assassination that changed the world. And to this day, we do not know who assassinated Philip.
That's right. We don't.
Some people say it was Alexander, who was upset that he was going to lose influence because Philip married a new bride, put his mother aside, and had there been offspring from those marriages, they may have supplanted him. We don't know. It may have been a palace coup, maybe the companions of Philip, because it was an aristocracy that ran Macedon. It was the king, but in consensus with all of the leading nobles of the time.
Right.
It would have been a different world. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. So King Philip dies.
King Philip dies. Alexander comes to the throne.
We see a huge change in the way Macedon is being run at the
Not
moment.
originally.
No?
Alexander picks up where Philip leaves off.
Right.
So he consolidates the hold over Greece and the Greek city-states. He goes across the water. So far, so good. But that idea that we're going to go through Asia Minor and we're going to go and defeat the Persians once and for all in a showdown, and then we are going to go and take over Egypt and basically inherit the Persian Empire, subsume it, and boldly go where no one has gone before, which was his plan, that was never conceived before.
No.
That was something else. I don't think that would have happened if Alexander had not taken over at that stage.
And was not as young, as impetuous as he was.
Well, yeah. I mean, who knows how many bureaucratic obstacles would have been put in his way had he been older and more jaded. No one knows these questions. But really, I feel that is a turning point in Greek history, which was being created by that assassination.
Alexander assassinated?
By a mosquito.
Plot thickens.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's quite likely there was malaria. Some people say his wine was poisoned.
Yeah.
He did upset a lot of people towards the end. So it is possible that he was assassinated. We don't know. Did that change the way history unfolded? Probably. I don't know. Had he lived, if he had been able to keep the whole empire together, or it would have, the fallout was inevitable, the splitting up into different parts, no one knows. Could that have been avoided? If he had stayed there, could he have cemented his rule? It's hard ruling over a multi-state empire that you've had no experience. The Persians had experience.
Yes.
And what the Persians did and the way they run it was basically saying, look, just pay your taxes and we'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Send your levies and your army and off you go.
Yeah.
Alexander was all about synthesis. He planted colonies in areas. A lot of those colonies lasted a long time.
Yeah.
Some of those colonies ended up in China, as we know. We've talked about that. Look, no one knows. So what I want to do now, Pete, is I want to skip all of the ancient assassinations. I want to skip all of the Byzantine assassinations.
Oh, God, how many were there? How many assassinations?
Heaps. Including Andronicus, who was basically mutilated in the middle of Constantinople and people spitting on him and things. Gee. But he was not a nice man. I think it was Andronicus III. I could be wrong, but I think it's Andronicus III.
Right. And
people like Romanos the Ioannis, who was blinded and killed because he lost the war against the Turks as they were coming in 1071. We'd never mentioned 1071. That never happened.
Okay.
We're in denial about that.
Fair enough.
All of these things, because, okay, maybe it would have changed history, maybe not. Let's go to modern Greece.
All right, modern Greece. We're talking from 1821 onwards or 1831
Why not?
onwards?
Why not?
Okay.
So I want to pick our founding martyr,
Right.
who is Ioannis Kapodistrias.
Kapodistrias. Let's discuss Kapodistria.
So for me, Kapodistria is a cautionary tale about why Greeks living abroad, apodimi Ellinis, should never go back to Greece and help out. Because you end up dead, mes enfants. Yeah? Or you look at the founding members of the Philiki Eteria, the two Pirotes, or Skoufas,
Yes.
Kiotsakalof. One ended up in poverty. They wouldn't even give him a pension.
Really?
Died in Athens a pauper. And Tsakalov, I think it was Tsakalov, went back to Moscow because he said, this is a madhouse. I can't handle these people. What the hell was I thinking? He went back. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, do not help Greece if you're living abroad. Or help Greece, but don't go there and presume to tell them what to do. They always know what to do. Whether they choose to do it or not is their business.
That hasn't changed in the last 250
My
plus
argument
years.
is that. So, Kapodistrias for me is a fascinating figure.
Right.
Because it is very hard to view him dispassionately. He's considered the founding martyr, and the whole idea is that if he hadn't been killed, the whole history of Greece would have been different. It would have been more normal, more stable. We really lost our chance with the death of Kapodistrias, and I'm not so sure, Pete, that that's the case.
You're really not so sure because the people have always been the people?
No, I say it because you got to look at the history of the man. He's an aristocrat.
Yes.
Yeah. There were no aristocrats in Greece.
No.
Okay. He came from an area which is now in Slovenia, the Cape of Istria.
Came from there?
Yep. He was, his ancestors were probably of Italian background.
Really?
Or maybe not. And he was one of the very important noble grandee families in the Eptanissa, the Seven Islands, okay, which were ruled for a very long time by Venice.
Yes, right.
Of mixed descent, that means nothing. He felt Greek. He had a Greek identity, and that's fine. One of the two foreign ministers of Russia.
Yes.
There was Nesselrode and there was him. Played a very, very big role in European history, especially after Napoleon and the ordering of Europe after that time. No, he went off Napoleon, who may or may not be Greek. I don't think he was, but people say that he was Greek. Bonaparte means Kalogenis, apparently. I don't believe that. There were Greeks in Corsica. I don't believe he was of a Greek family, but you can discuss this as much as you want. Tried to reorder Europe, and then they had to go back and unpick everything. And what the world powers did after Napoleon was beaten, is to try and create a more conservative Europe, and a Europe which is more absolutist than the Europe where there are no national questions. Because one of the
back then?
Yeah, one of the things that Napoleon did was he encouraged, in order to get at the Russians, for example, Polish independence movements.
Right, of course.
Things of that nature.
Yes.
And Eleftherios wrote dedicated poems to Napoleon because he believed that Napoleon would come through the Balkans and liberate Greece. He was considered a great supporter of national aspirations at a time when Europe was all of empires. And he obviously did that cynically and for his own reasons, but that's another story. So Kapodistrias is serving perhaps the most authoritarian and reactionary imperial power that existed at the time, Russia.
Russia, yeah.
He was not a democrat.
No.
We present him as a martyr for democracy. He was not a democrat. He was a very thorough, very learned, very good administrator. He also covered up for Pushkin, the famous poet of Russia.
Right.
And one of the things that Pushkin liked to do was sleep with other people's wives. And write funny stories about the Tsar and making fun of the Tsar. And he was also a great promoter and supporter of Greek independence. And he got in trouble. And they were going to exile him. And it was actually Kapodistrias who wrote letters to the Tsar saying, look, he's young, he's brilliant, he's a genius. He gets carried away by his own wit. Leave him alone, punish him, but don't send him into exile. He's a nice guy. And as a result, instead of getting sent to Siberia, he got sent to Chisinau in Moldavia, under the guidance of the governor of the town, and he ended up sleeping with the governor's wife. So yeah, that's an aside about Pushkin. Pushkin was a very firm supporter of the Greek Revolution. Kapodistrias was not.
Hang on. Oh, that's right. He wasn't,
The
was he?
Philiki Eteria made certain moves to contact him and say, look, do you want to come and be the head of this movement? He said, absolutely not.
Yes.
It's like when me and you, Pete, in the course of our everyday activism on behalf of the Greek community, go and approach prominent members of the Greek community with some influence, say, "Oh, can you help us out? Push this person or that person." They say, "Nope, no. It's going to jeopardize my career."
Yes.
Because Greeks are always willing to help you as long as it doesn't jeopardize their career for the good of Greece. If you want a very famous Greek person to help you for the good of Greece, I think the limit that they'll go to is consent to be photographed with a souvlaki in Oakley holding the Greek flag.
Of course. They're willing to make that sacrifice, Dean.
And we thank them for it on
We
the show.
We certainly do.
There go all our would-be sponsors.
Heroes of our community.
There go all our would-be sponsors. But Kapodistrias says, "No, are you for real? Look at the climate. Look at what we're doing here. No way."
Yeah.
But eventually, the Greek Revolution is a fact. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone realizes that Greece is descending into chaos because there are various spheres of influence. There are the Peloponnesian grandees, there are the Stereoladites, there are the Fanariotes who actually want to create a state, but no one wants them because they have no friends within Greece. And it is a proverbial excrement storm. And they decide, you know what, we're going to bring Kapodistrias. Kapodistrias has had a hand in envisaging states.
Right.
He had a hand in drafting the Constitution of Switzerland.
Wow.
The Federal Constitution of Switzerland, which is amazing. There's a statue of him in Switzerland.
In Switzerland, really?
Yes. I think there should be a statue of him here in Melbourne.
You don't have to explain that. Why?
Why not? He's fantastic. We love him. So we'll do that. But before we do that, and we'll do a subscription for him, they bring him to Greece. He inherits a situation which is chaotic.
Right.
So what the hell do I do with these people? You know, on the one hand, you've got the Maniots.
Yes.
Who had autonomy under the Turks, and they say, "Look, we don't know anything about your new state. Yeah, do whatever you want with your new state, but we want to be autonomous. We want to rule ourselves."
Yeah.
You have all of these Greek captains of the revolution, and we've got all of their photos στα καφενεία and in Greek school classes, and they're hallowed, and we love them. And they're all saying, "Well, yeah, that's great. Create a new state, but don't tell us what to do." You know, we've got our sphere of influence, our villages, our cities. The Greek state starts somewhere else. We don't want to listen to you. You have Kapodistrias trying to create a modern navy and saying to all of the revolutionary captains, "Well, you know, can you bring your ships so that we can have this navy?" And Andreas Miaoulis, the great sea captain of Hydra and revolutionary hero, sinking the ships rather than hanging them over to Kapodistria.
I remember this story, yes.
Kapodistrias come from Russia. He's come from a place where if you go and say, "Well, look, this is the prikaz, the order," it's followed, or you end up in Siberia. But we don't have a Siberia. The closest Siberia we've got is Crete, and that's still in Turkish hands. So what do? No one's listening to him. He's tried to build schools, tried to create order out of chaos, but it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. He's trying to govern. I look at it this way. It's kind of like how Hamid Karzai in Afghanistan was trying to create a modern democratic Afghanistan,
right,
but having to deal with all the Afghan warlords.
Yes.
That's the situation, I think. I think it's in that parallel. I once called the Greek revolutionary captains Afghan warlords on a Greek program in Brisbane. They actually chucked me off the air.
Oh, you're kidding me.
They didn't like that. But I think in that sense,
that won't happen here.
It's apt. No, you can't chuck me off the air because I'm actually glued to this seat. But he's frustrated. The grandees are frustrated because they said we didn't go and fight the revolution so we can lose our privileges. The whole idea was that we were going to become the Turks instead of the Turks.
That's right.
And we were going to rule ourselves and everything was going to be fine. What are you doing? We don't listen to you. Where the hell did you come from? Who are you to tell us what to do? Yeah, ποιος είσαι εσύ και από πού ήρθες? Εσείς φύγατε. You know? And it culminates with the assassination in Nafplio in 1831. It was the 27th of September by the Mavromichalis clan. Mavromichalis were the bathers of money.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We've had enough of this rubbish. You telling us what to do. No. He gets shot and he dies. And what happens? This is where the course of Greek history, does it change or does it follow a trajectory it would have followed anyway? What happens? Massive instability. Power vacuum. Who is going to fill it? Are we going to have a situation where each regional leader just fills in his vacuum, but who's going to run the whole? And the whole of Greece descends into chaos. And what do the foreign powers do? They realize that Greeks are not capable of running themselves. You know, kind of like Sparta going to the great king to adjudicate. Foreign powers say, you can't do it, we'll sort it out. And they bring us King Otto of Bavaria with his Bavarian bureaucracy, which is imposed upon Greece, which is an absolutist state. And then you have underneath that a coalition or a coalescence of Greeks around political parties which are purely designed to further the interests of the foreign powers. So, for example, you could have a conservative party, a liberal party. That was what you had in Britain at the time. In Greece, you have the Russian party. Kolokotronis was part of the Russian party.
Oh, really?
That was he was championing the Russians. He believed we should have close ties with the Russians.
Okay.
Same religion, conservative values. He was that. Then you had the English party, and then you had the French party. So you don't even have them standing for ideology. All they are clients getting paid by foreign powers to promote their interests. That wouldn't have happened under Kapodistrias.
No.
So that's the first step. The second step is they get used to Greece being run on authoritarian lines by a king whose dictates are law, and they accommodate themselves to that. And underneath that, there becomes that clientelist thing. I'm a local grandee as long as I listen to the king. You are my clients, you are my patrons, that kind of system, which existed in Greece and quite arguably could possibly exist even today. With Rusfetia, and I go to you, you help me out, and therefore I'll vote for you, I'll do what you want. That system gets put in place. Now, the question is, would Kapodistrias, had he survived, would he have been able to overcome those grandees? Or was the assassination inevitable? Or even if it wasn't inevitable, would have they just frustrated him at every turn? He would have got up and left. We would have been in that situation anyway. That is the great debate.
Right.
That is where I say I do not know whether the assassination of Kapodistrias is a turning point, but I suspect it might be. Could Greece have gone the other way? Possibly, but considering the facts on the ground, maybe not.
Well, they had 450 plus years of Ottoman rule, plus before that Byzantine rule. So they clearly the people of the area would have been used to authoritarianism.
Well, Byzantine rule was all about local coalitions and chaos, always, and factions, and those factions were always from the top, and you attached yourself to one in order to get.
Sounds very familiar.
You attach yourself to one in order to get somewhere in life. So that's that. So for me, Kapodistrias, maybe not, but I do not believe that had he lived, we would have a democratic, functional state the way
people believe.
Yeah,
the utopia.
And would that have worked in Greece anyway? I don't know. I'm not sure.
People
sort of worked in Greece.
Quite Greece. If it stuck around there, we might have been the new Switzerland.
Yeah, I'm kind of not sure that happened. Switzerland evolved under different circumstances and with different races of people.
True.
It's a federation of different languages and identities, and cantons. I don't know whether, maybe it would have worked. I don't know.
Maybe.
But he didn't stick around long enough to find out. He died, and he's the great martyr and our founding martyr of the modern Greek state. So, the foreign powers come in. Otto is in. Otto is kicked out. There's a revolution. Galeris has a bit of a revolution and demands a constitution. Constitution is granted, then Otto goes and King George comes. So what's happened then, Pete, and I'm leading up to the second, I think, important assassination attempt in modern Greek history, is you have a situation where you have political parties which are basically based on popular support. What we call the politikandides, and one of those is Theodoros Dilianis. He was Prime Minister of Greece 5 times. And basically you have a situation towards the end of the 19th century where the Prime Ministership is alternating between Charilaos Trikoupis and Theodoros Dilianis.
Right.
Charilaos Trikoupis is a westernizer, a reformer. He's the Gough Whitlam of his time. Why do I say that? He was all about spending money on new works, spending money on expanding on education, on railways, on expanding industry. Unfortunately, someone's got to pay for these things.
Right.
And his policies, because he can't pay for his railways, and there's a series of unfortunate events that happened, like the blight, the phylloxera blight of the grapevines, where currants, which are the most... that was the greatest export of Greece at the time, currants.
Really?
Dried grapes, currants. That whole industry dies because the grapevines are afflicted by phylloxera, and the state collapses. Also, the loans which were provided in the early 19th century to fund the Greek Revolution. Greece was set up to fail, arguably. So all of that happens, and Trikoupis comes to Parliament with a very famous phrase, "Δυστυχώς επτοχεύσαμεν." So unfortunately, we're bankrupt. His rule is alternating with Viligiannis. Viligiannis stands for the old party. I'm popular. I'm the kind of guy you can have a drink in the bar with.
Right.
The cafenio.
Populist,
Sprout the buzzwords of the time. Megali there.
Yeah.
Not interested so much in democracy or making the country run, but it's just pure populism.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. You're going to love it. We're going to build a wall. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it works. Half the population love him. He keeps on going back into power. They alternate. By 1905, Trikoupis has been dead for a while, and Viligiannis is an old man. And he's still spouting this whole idea of the Megali there, and not really interested in actually running the country properly. His main aim is to remain in power and to enjoy the privileges of power. But one of the things that he does reluctantly is he forces some of these gambling dens to close.
Oh, okay.
And a very disgruntled denizen of and patron of one of these gambling dens shoots him dead in 1905. So why is this a turning point?
Yeah.
He's not particularly a historical figure. All he does is he represents the malaise of late 19th century Greece, which has gone through a financial crisis and is completely knackered, kind of like now. Yeah. And I think the reason why this is a turning point in history is because a lot of things happen after that. And this whole idea of political parties based on personality sort of dies, based on that old clientelist system sort of dies. There is a lot of instability.
Right.
And that paves the way for the 1909 Epanastasis στο Γουδί, where the army says, you know what, we're sick of all of this instability, and they bring Venizelos.
The army brings Venizelos.
Or they ask him to come.
Right.
Members of the army. And Venizelos comes from Crete, having organised the Cretan Revolution with his new...
1897?
No, not 1897. This is in 1909, 1910. Venizelos comes and initiates a new period in Greek politics, which is based on parliament, debate, and ideology.
And Cretan Revolution, though, like it was part of the Ottoman Empire up until when?
Look, Crete's something that we'll go into maybe another time,
right,
because Crete's fascinating. But Crete didn't liberate itself. Crete was part of didn't really take part much in the Greek Revolution.
Right.
The only time that it really did anything was when Michalis Dallianis from Epirus decided that he would land in Crete with his soldiers and declare the revolution. The Cretans didn't help him. He ended up being flayed alive.
Wow.
But Cretans had their own revolutionary activity. Arcadi, 1866, they were made into an autonomous state by the world powers.
Right.
They had their own parliament, which was Cretan Turks and Cretan Greeks. I say Cretan Turks, they were Greeks who had converted to Islam. You had people like Hussein Staphylarakis in parliament. Turkish first name, Greek surname.
Yeah.
There's a trajectory which I think we should do. We should devote a program on this.
Yeah, we should.
Crete's fascinating.
Put it down.
But Venizelos comes to Greece and initiates a whole different view of politics.
Right.
But before we get to him.
Yeah.
So Viligiannis, I think, is symbolic of the old Greece which is passing.
Yes.
Yeah, poor guy.
20th century comes along.
But before we get to Viligiannis, we've got to talk about and go back to another very, very important political assassination. And I want to speak about King George I.
We assassinated King John I.
Yes.
King George I.
Greek kings don't have a really good go of it. The only king who died in his bed without having to leave the country at some stage during his rule was King Paul, whose wife, Queen Frederica, I did a post the other day on Facebook, was part of the Hitler Youth. She being of Germanic stock.
Of course.
Well, we don't know if she was ideologically aligned to the regime. It was something that all Germans had to do. But she looked quite enthusiastic in the photo. That's an aside. King George I comes from Denmark.
Right.
So Otto gets kicked out. They ask King Leopold of Belgium, do you want to come along and be king of Greece? Said, no bloody way. I think it was more emphatic than that, but I can't repeat it on the camera, mes enfants, what he said. So they bring King George.
Right.
And King George presides over stability. Stability is his watchword. He loves being the king of Greece. His rule is all about, okay, you guys do what you're going to do in the parliament, and I'll respect that, and I'm not going to intervene too much. So it really was a constitutional type of monarchy where the king is a figurehead. He enjoys sleeping with the beautiful girls of Athens,
Yes.
having a good time, being the poster boy for Greece because he's got all of his connections, knows all the royal families, he's related to all the royal families in that incestuous mix of aristocracy that existed at the time, and quite enjoys that good life. Holds the first modern Olympic Games in Athens, and he's the epicenter of that, and really is a symbol of Greece entering the modern world.
Right.
And not only does he do that and leaves the politicians to squabble amongst themselves, but he also then presides over the expansion of Greece. Because as we know, the Balkan Wars begin. Macedonia is liberated. Some of the Aegean islands are liberated. Thessalia is liberated before. And Epirus is liberated. And that all happens during his reign.
Years then?
So I'm bringing you up to 1913.
Right.
Thessalia was in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Part of Arta was around about the same time, 1890s. Epirus, Macedonia, 1912, 1913, and some of the Aegean islands as well.
Right.
That's an amazing achievement. It just it boosts his prestige, and that's the whole idea of Greece slowly but surely reaching its place and its destiny in the world. You know, our borders were not what they should have been, was the consensus. Therefore, we're slowly expanding, and we're getting to a position where we should have been in the beginning.
Yes.
There's progression, there's that sense of optimism. And someone shoots him dead in Thessaloniki in 1913.
Right.
Why is this a turning point? He was an old man. Because his son takes over.
Right.
His son is Konstantinos the first. Konstantinos is not like his dad. Konstantinos does not know how to maintain balance. Konstantinos is authoritarian. Konstantinos is linked with the army. He was in the army that liberated Macedonia, for example.
Oh, he was.
He had the famous argument with Venizelos. Venizelos was saying, look, we've got to go and secure Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki is important. And King Constantine wanted to go and liberate Monastiri, modern-day Bitola. And Constantine is saying, that's what we're going to do. And Venizelos saying, no, this is a port city. The Bulgarians are around the door. We've got to get in there. We got there, I think, 8 hours before.
Gee.
Because Venizelos did not listen to Constantine.
Right.
Constantine is all about giving the army more of a say in politics, and that begins, although arguably that began before, but even more so because he's connected with the army, and the army loves him. So the army begins to take a greater role in Greek politics, which is never a good thing. And the number two is that he doesn't respect the parliamentary convention, so he wants to intervene in politics and expects to be listened to and obeyed, and destabilizes Greece. This is a problem. This is a problem because it leads to the national schism, which we've covered in other programs, and ultimately leads to the Asia Minor catastrophe.
Yeah.
So that is how the legacy of King George changed history, because had he lived longer, although it's arguable, who knows how long he would have lived. He was an old man when he died. A more mature Constantine would have been less likely to involve us in problems. Very much aligned to the German Kaiser. His wife was the Kaiser's sister. Not a good idea. Made some bad choices in World War I, which caused a bit of a fuss, like trying to remain neutral and then ending up having Piraeus bombarded. The division of Greece in two. Venizelos goes to Thessaloniki and creates another government, the Ethniki Amina, National Defense, all of that. And creates, I would argue, and we've covered it in other programs, a schism, the undertones of which and the reverberations of which exist today. But I don't want to go there. Then we go to Alexander, King Alexander. So King Alexander, at some stage, because Venizelos is not getting on with Constantine, Constantine is forced into exile.
Right.
And Alexander the First becomes king of Greece. He's a young guy, and he gets bitten by a pet monkey.
Alexander the First now is Constantine's son? brother?
I think so.
Yeah.
Constantine's son, brother. I can't remember. I've got a mental blank. He's one of them.
One of them.
He gets bitten by his pet monkey. He was assassinated by his pet monkey. And then there's that whole idea of Constantine coming back and creating the whole fuss that began from the beginning. So that is a turning point too.
Right.
But because all of these characters belong to Karavi, I want to bring you back to Venizelos because there were 2 assassination attempts against Venizelos. And they're very important ones.
Right.
So the first is in 1920. You can picture the scene. Greece has emerged out of the First World War, on the side of the Allies, victorious. And the Allies have decided in their infinite wisdom to allow us to occupy Smyrni.
Yes.
For 5 years, after which time there was supposed to be a plebiscite to determine whether Smyrni would join Greece or whether Smyrni would remain part of the successor to the Ottoman state.
Yes.
And it was highly likely, considering the concentration of Greeks and Armenians in the zone, that was going to happen. So, and that's what sparks off the Greek occupation of Smyrni, sparks off the Greco-Turkish War, because Ataturk goes into the interior, starts organising a nationalist movement to kick the Greeks out.
Yeah.
But in 1920, Venizelos finds himself in Sèvres, signing the Treaty of Sèvres, which puts all these things into practice, formalises the occupation, recognises, for example, the fact that Greece will now also take over not only the Aegean Islands, Imbros and Tenedos, which are now no longer part of Greece, but also Eastern Thrace, I think 40 kilometres up to Constantinople. Not Constantinople, they didn't want Greece to have that.
No.
But all of Eastern Thrace, which actually kind of made sense because there were more Greeks living in Eastern Thrace than there were in Western Thrace.
Right.
And I'm not saying that because I'm Thracist, mes enfants. The whole idea was that Western Thrace had a very large Muslim community, Pomaks, Bulgarians, it was a mix. Eastern Thrace had a larger population of Greeks along the sea area and that. But he's there, and then he's going to the, in Paris, he's going to the railway station, the Gare du Lion, and he's assassinated by supporters of King Constantine. Or not assassinated, shot at. Assassination attempt. All hell breaks loose in Greece.
Right.
And supporters of Venizelos go and start rounding up known royalist supporters and killing people who are suspected of being disloyal. And one of those people who dies is Ion Dragoumis. Ion Dragoumis was the son of Stephanos Dragoumis, Prime Minister of Greece.
Right.
A known nationalist, but not a supporter of Venizelos. He fell out with Venizelos.
Right.
He was very instrumental in the liberation of Macedonia, created secret committees in order to funnel money, weapons, coordinate guerrilla movements in Macedonia from 1908 onwards. Was a romantic figure, was a bit of an Athenian playboy, notably had affairs with people like Penelope Delta, famous children's author and also daughter of Benakis, the great benefactor. And well known for his patriotic sentiments, he's assassinated in Athens by pro-Venizelos supporters, and you have this descent into violence and polarization between royalists and Venizelists that creates a lot of bad blood, which means these two factions can never, ever find consensus and be reunited. And that creates a polarization, which, in my view, gets translated to the Greek Civil War and marks Greek politics thereafter. He comes back. There are elections. Paradoxically enough, it's kind of like Churchill after the war. Venizelos loses the elections.
Right.
Venizelos losing the elections and his assassination attempt possibly caused people to say, we're sick of this rubbish.
Yeah.
No, all right, you've had your chance and now they're trying to get rid of you, and what's all this violence? The king comes back.
This is Constantine.
Yeah. And takes over personal direction of the army in Asia Minor. Not a good idea. We lose Asia Minor. Now, opinion is divided on whether the king's responsible for that.
Yeah.
People say, well, look, it is a situation where the supply lines were stretched. Ataturk was deliberately drawing the Greeks further and further into the interior so the supply lines can be stretched into areas where they couldn't get support, into areas where no Greeks lived. They were relying on one knockout blow, which didn't happen at the Battle of Sangarios. That's one way to view it. The other way is to actually look at what was going on in Greece at the time.
Yeah.
The king institutes purges against Venizelos, removes competent Venizelos officers from the army,
Oh, gee.
replaces them with cronies who are inept but are loyal. And I mean, do you notice a common theme here? That's what Greeks do every time.
Certainly do.
Get rid of the competent people
Yeah.
and just put yes men because you can trust the yes men.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And that's what they do. And we lose.
Yeah.
We lose. We lose Asia Minor. Now, I don't know if Smyrna remaining within Greece or joining Greece would have assisted in the or maintain the preeminence of that city, because that whole city, the reason why Smyrna was such an important and rich city was because it relied on the hinterland.
Yeah.
But this plan to give the Zoni to Smyrnis, the Smyrna zone to Greece, would have cut Smyrna from the hinterland.
Yes, that's right.
I suspect Smyrna would have just withered and died as a regional backwater the way the islands did before tourism, had things turned out well. But that's just me speculating. You never know.
Yeah, sure.
And 50, 60 years later, with the advent of tourism, that whole paradigm would have been exploded because people would have gone there anyway. There's beautiful things in that area, especially ancient Greek ruins, Ephesus, all these areas. That's what happens. Venizelos comes back. His supporters bring him back. The king leaves again to pick up the pieces.
Right.
And Venizelos does some very, I'll use the word, ballsy things. He concludes a peace treaty with Turkey, the Treaty of Lausanne.
Yeah.
He loses the Smyrna zone.
Yeah.
He loses Eastern Thrace. He loses Imbros and Tenedos. But he maintains everything else. He signs treaties with Bulgaria and Yugoslavia to maintain those borders, and he concentrates on doing a few things like resettling the refugees from Asia Minor, which is a massive, massive task, and that took years, and the pain of that, and trying to heal what is basically a polarized, broken, defeated, exhausted society, which is all great until 1923, when there's another assassination attempt.
Wow.
And this assassination attempt is also organised by royalists. He's out in his car, and he's got his Cretan bodyguards in the car, because Venizelos, all people were Cretan. They were the only people he could trust.
Yeah.
Theme again, he was from Crete. Cretans were running Greece. They've been running Greece ever since, in my view, and they're friends. And he gets shot at while going for a bit of a drive in his car.
Right.
He pushes his wife down in the back seat. That's not a euphemism. Did that. Drive on. They don't go to the first hospital that's on their way, because people are waiting for them there to kill them. And they go to a hospital which is about 2-3 kilometres away, because that was not... one of the bodyguards is shot. And it turns out that this assassination attempt was organised by royalists. One of them behind it was Ioannis Kapodistrias,
Right.
father of Yorgos Kapodistrias, who became Prime Minister of Greece in the 1980s for a brief period.
Wow.
Who was a known royalist and also ended up being a collaborationist Prime Minister under the Germans during the war. Yeah, and I'll go back to that. There's a few parallels which are interesting. So that's what happens, and that creates a massive storm in Greece.
Right.
And what it does is Venizelos officers try and create a coup some years later because of that instability. And that's the interesting thing. Venizelos, for us and for me, because I'm a great admirer of the man and his vision, is considered the quintessential Democrat, and yet he was not above trying to stage coups with his supporters to get into power. And 35 is the last one, and then he has to go into exile.
He goes into exile.
Yeah. So what this last the first assassination attempt, in my view, possibly lost us Asia Minor. The second one lost us democracy, because then what happens is they say during this time Greece is a democracy. They've gotten rid of the king. It's a republic. They say, look, it's not working. We've got to bring back the king. And the king that they bring back is Constantine's brother, George second. And King George presides over a period of autocracy, in the sense that democracy is no longer prized. What's the prize? This stability, not having the opportunity to speak. And this thing gradually gets worse until the time where King George appoints Ioannis Metaxas to be the dictator of Greece. And then you have that complete downfall of democracy. There's no freedom of speech. People start getting exiled for their political opinions, although that was happening before as well. And you have that lead up to the Second World War. So for me, that's the trajectory. The second assassination of Venizelos, in my opinion, creates the, if you like, the groundwork for the advent of totalitarianism or authoritarianism in the guise of Ioannis Metaxas.
Right.
Now, which leads me to the next point. If we had no Ioannis Metaxas, what would our fortune have been in the Second World War? You can speculate. Would a democratic government weaker without the pull or the power of Metaxas, would they have stood up to the Italians? Or would they have let them just go through? And what would have been the trajectory after that? You can speculate and do counterfactuals all day long.
You could.
And you have people like Godzamanis, who are in the secret police of Metaxas, really persecuting people with different opinions. Venizelos. Metaxas was obsessed with Venizelos.
Yeah.
It was almost like a boy crush. He was jealous of him.
Yeah.
He admired him. And he did everything that he could to destroy his followers.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now I want to go to Aris Velouchotis, the great leader of Hellas, who, depending on which side of the fence you choose to sit, was either a great resistance leader or a psychopathic maniac. Yeah? And it may be that he was both.
Right.
A lot of people admire him for his leadership of Hellas and the resistance during the German occupation. Other people say that he was authoritarian, that he was sadistic, that all these things. You can make up your mind about that, and I'm not here to offer a view. But what I would say is that he was expelled from the Communist Party. Communist Party deposed him from leadership of Hellas. He refused to listen, and he was assassinated possibly by his own people and the order of the Communist Party of Greece in 1945 or 44, can't remember exactly when, could have been later. And the whole idea is, had Aris Velouchotis not been assassinated, what would the outcome of the Civil War have been? With an Aris at the helm who was charismatic, commanded a loyalty of his followers, would the outcome of the Greek Civil War have been different? Would Greece have been a communist state, or would they have at least given the British and the Royalists a run for their money? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think it's a very important point to speculate because, as we know, the outcome of the Civil War was something that marked modern Greece, Pete, if you will, for many, many years afterwards. So there's that one, yeah, or Aris Ekipera. No, they chopped his head off and displayed it in the platea. So that's him. And I think the last one that I want to cover is Grigoris Lambrakis.
Okay, another Cretan?
No. Well, it could have been. I don't think so. I think it was Cretan. Could have been. All these Akis names. Grigoris Lambrakis was a very charismatic doctor. He was a athlete, and a really good athlete. And he was also a parliamentarian. And this is after the Greek Civil War, where the Communist Party's been banned, the left is heavily proscribed, and the only Greek left-leaning party is EDA. And he was elected to parliament as part of EDA. And in the 1960s, he started being vocal about things like nuclear disarmament.
Right.
And peace. You know, that was the time of the peaceniks and give peace a chance and all that stuff. So he was big on that, which the conservatives of the time were not really happy with because we've just beaten the communists. Peace for them was just the front for disarming so that the communists can come in and take over Greece. And also we're part of the American sphere of influence. They don't like us talking about peace. You know, peace is injurious to American interests. So we can't have people like that speaking about these issues. And Lambrakis organises peace marches throughout Greece. We want peace. We want nuclear disarmament. He gets the idea from Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell, the eminent English philosopher at the time, is staging peace rallies in London saying, where's all this going? We're going to descend into madness. Stop it. Peace is the most important thing in the world. He follows suit. These marches get banned. But because he's got parliamentary immunity, he can't be prosecuted. So he does a famous march from Athens to Marathon alone because no one else can come with him because they'll get arrested. There's a famous photo of him holding a banner with the peace symbol on there and just marching on his own. They couldn't do anything to him. And he had quite a following, very inspirational person, and a very good person from all accounts. During this time, you have, Pete, the emergence of what they call the parakratos, the deep state, if you like. And there are all these organizations whose idea is, well, you know what, we don't want the left ever to come back into power. We want to be aligned with the Americans, and we want to maintain conservative hold of Greece. So what they do is they monitor these things. And some of these people who are involved in these groups, one was called Aspida, are the people that not so long after will create the 1967 coup of the colonels. Lambrakis is holding a peace rally in Thessaloniki in 1963, in May 1963. And some people come around and club him on the head and kill him. He dies in hospital, 22nd of May 1963, from his wounds. One of them was a man called Godzamanis. Do you remember the name Godzamanis? I mentioned it earlier in connection with one of Metaxas's cronies in the 1936 Metaxas regime, head of the secret police. Well, he's from that family, so it shows you how these things get inherited. Running sores within the Greek history, even through families. Lambrakis dies. My mum was there as a young girl. She attended that peace rally with her family. Happened to be in Thessaloniki and went along.
How does that change things in Greece?
Well, I'll tell you how it changes things in Greece. You get, again, that polarization. You get outrage. You get anger at the establishment, at the king, because it's considered that the king is not doing anything to stop these groups, so that the image of the monarchy is compromised. You have, as I said, the polarization, and you have massive groundswell support for George Papandreou. George Papandreou, known as O Geros tis Demokratias, he was the politician. He was one of Venizelos' right-hand men during his career. And then when the Germans left, you see the famous photo of a politician raising the Greek flag on the Acropolis. That's him. He was not really of the left, but became gradually more radicalized and popularist as a response to these kind of running faults within the Greek society. People start supporting him. He wins the 1965 elections. There's a lot of political instability. People are angry. Things go back and forth. In 1967, it looks like he's going to win again, and that's when the colonels prepare their coup and stage their coup so that he doesn't go into parliament. And then we have the Greek dictatorship. And we also know that the king was preparing his own coup at the same time. The Americans were saying, no, don't do it. He wanted to create a coup. The documents which have come out, especially through the research of Alexis Papachelas in Greece, suggest that the Americans were aware and supported the Papadopoulos coup, which is why they were telling the king, hold your horses. And you have that situation where Greece has a dictatorship for 7 years. We know where that leads. That leads to polarization, the loss of Cyprus. So all these things, Pete, are connected in ways that you say, well, if Lambrakis hadn't been assassinated, would the coup have taken place? I don't know if that was inevitable. I think that is a major turning point. And even here in Australia, the after effects of Lambrakis' assassination were felt. You have the Neolea Lambrakis being celebrated and created in Greece, and you have a Neolea Lambrakis which was active for many years in Melbourne as well, and served as a conduit for activism within the Greek community, especially the left section of the Greek community here in Melbourne and elsewhere. So yeah, these are the assassinations I've picked. There are others. There's the assassinations of the Kaiftan Noemvri. They killed Pavlos Bakoyannis. I don't know how that... I don't think that changed history, though, in any way. I think it was symptomatic of that movement just picking off people at random for their own purposes. But the ones that I've chosen, I think, really have influenced in some way the trajectory of modern Greek history. And I hope it doesn't happen again. I don't think that assassinations really cause or solve any problems. I think they cause more problems than they solve.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but the effectiveness of causing a change of some sort, unfortunately, means that they've proven to be quite effective.
I don't know. And I mean, it leads to the debate, what drives history? Is it personalities? Is it other forces beyond the control of personalities? Is it evolution? I mean, that's the center of the debate. You would say, well, look at Kapodistrias. Did it change anything, or were those problems already there? But then again, do personalities move events, or do events move because of class issues, economic issues, other issues? Hard to say. It's part of that greater trajectory. If Lenin had missed that train, would there have been a Russian Revolution?
Very true.
So sometimes I think people are at the center of events, and you have a choice. You can choose to listen to someone else. You can choose to afford a person the dignity of expounding their views. You can choose to respectfully disagree, and have a discussion. Kind of unlike what we're doing here, where it's just a monologue. Or you can just shoot someone. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I don't think, whether you loved him or hate him, I don't think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk is going to have a drastic effect on American politics. I could be wrong. I don't think it will be as drastic as some of the examples we've actually outlaid today with regards to Greece. However, I do believe that, and like I said before, unfortunately, the assassination of certain political figures, especially influential ones, do change the course of history for that particular country.
I think when you have power and you have the ability to do something, that does change the course of history.
Yeah.
If you are just a sideline, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just a footnote in history.
Yeah.
No, you look at other famous assassinations. Rodney King, in America.
Yeah.
Did that change history? I would argue not. I don't see any change in the issues that came from that assassination.
Yeah, agreed.
Sideline in history. Why? No power, just a person. Yeah. Charlie Kirk, it also depends on how powerful people weaponize assassinations or use assassinations.
Yeah, that's right. And
Lambrakis is an example. Yeah. Lambrakis was a politician. He didn't really wield power. He was just a member of parliament.
Yeah.
But what he did was his example moved people.
Yeah.
Was it weaponized? Was it exploited? Maybe, possibly, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had let's go to a parallel in America. You had those congressmen or women who were killed in their homes.
Yes.
I don't see how that's changed.
No.
Maybe it's when you stand for something, and that is able to move people. I think that's the Rodney King, not the Rodney King, the Martin Luther King example.
Yeah.
That moves millions.
Yeah. Not wrong.
So it's interesting. I do hope that assassinations are something that people realise are so last season, mes enfants. We've been doing them for many years, and they don't seem to work. And my whole program has been about how they change the tiroi tis historias, the whole current of history. But don't try them at home. They should only be done under controlled conditions by people who are nasty and evil, and we don't go for that. We're on the side of good, and all we want to do, as we've said many times, is make people happy.
Absolutely. So pretty heavy episode this time around.
Do you feel that? Do you? Yeah.
The weight of the topic was always going to be this. Was always going to be like that. But I was very fascinated to see what the course of history would have been like for Greece without these assassinations, and as you said, counterfactual predictions as to how things would have unfolded is an interesting mental exercise.
Can I mention one more before we go, because it's an important one?
Go on.
Athens, ancient Athens.
Yes.
You have the tyrants of ancient Athens.
Yes.
And you have especially Pisistratos, the tyrant, and his sons ruling in Athens, an authoritarian kind of regime. Although tyrannos didn't have a bad sense in ancient Greece originally. It just meant a person who was ruling on his own in an oligarchic fashion. And then you have the two lovers, Armodios and Aristogiton, and they realize that the sons of Pisistratos are too autocratic, and they kill them.
Wow.
And this causes Athens to slowly move to democracy. Because the two lovers, Armodios and Aristogiton, decide, no, not good enough. We can't have this. These people got to go out of the way if we're going to get social change. Again, don't try this at home. And the statues of Armodios and Aristogiton remain in Athens for a very long time, and they serve as an inspiration for other political assassinations. Like, this is what we got to do. If people become tyrannical, they got to get out of the way. If we ask them nicely, if they don't do what they're told, goodbye. And the assassination of Julius Caesar was inspired by Armodios and Aristogiton.
Really?
Yes, because it became the thing to do. If you're about to become a tyrant, we got to get rid of you, which is why Brutus did it. And, of course, Julius Caesar's last words are in Greek. The et tu Brute was not uttered in Latin. It was uttered in Greek. Και σοι τέκνον.
Really?
Because the upper educated class of Rome affected, Greek knowledge, and they spoke the Greek language to each other. Just like the Russians in the 19th century, the aristocratic family spoke French to each other. So, yeah. And fast forward to the early 20th century in Samos, no less. And Samos is ruled by some princes who are basically suzerains for the Ottoman Empire, because Samos was not allowed to join Greece and was an independent country for 80-odd years. And you have the Prince Kopasis, who was an utter twat, if I can use that word, Tuate. And what he does is he tries to create an authoritarian regime, invites the Ottoman to send soldiers to Samos, which Samos had not seen Ottoman soldiers in over 100 years. And so a guy called Stavros Baretis assassinates Prince Kopasis. And if you have a look at the photos of the time that they took of Stavros Baretis, underneath they write, "O neos Aristogiton," the modern Aristogiton, harking back to that idea that if people become autocratic and fascistic, that you should get rid of them by assassination. So, again, we're not condoning assassination, but we are showing how these kind of examples run through history. Yeah. And you look at, for example, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. What did John Wilkes Booth say as he shot at Lincoln? Sic temper tyrannus,
Yeah.
It's that. And they're inspired by the classics and by the classical history to go out and shoot people who they don't like.
Yeah.
Don't do this at home. Or in public or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Vote wisely. Vote wisely. Vote to vote us off this show. Put us out of our misery.
Fortunately, we don't exercise that much power or any power at all, right? So we're no threat to anybody. We're no threat.
I'm just trying to think of whether we are or not. I'm reminded of the Armenians who bombed the Turkish embassy here in the 1980s. But that didn't achieve much, did it?
No.
Assassinations don't.
No.
Yeah. No, we won't go there. It's just a very, very dark place.
Very. Well,
that's what I have to say.
Brings us to the end of the show, Dean.
Doesn't. Thank God.
Any last words? Sounds so ominous.
Just don't kill people, huh?
Don't kill people.
Be nice. Talk.
Yeah.
Talk is good.
Yeah. Or start a podcast.
No, don't do that. Please don't do that.
It's not a good idea.
There are enough podcasts as they are.
All right, Dean.
Until next time, Dilagano, man.
Dilagano, man.
That's it.
See ya.